Hey guys, welcome to the Avoiding Burnout workshop as part of the Massage Success workshop series. So today we're going to chat about avoiding burnout. Now you may have heard from school or earlier in your career that the typical burnout for a massage therapist is 3 to 5 years, and if you're being optimistic, maybe it's 5 to 7 years. So that's kind of daunting when you're going into a massage career thinking that it's unavoidable, that you're going to burn out at some point. I believe that it is avoidable. However, there are many factors to consider, and it's an ongoing process, something that we have to constantly look at and evaluate and make changes throughout our entire career if we desire to have a healthy, happy, long career as a massage therapist for several decades. So, I'm going to discuss the factors that I believe lead to burnout, and there are many. But first, let's just chat about what is burnout. What are signs of burnout? Okay. When you have no motivation to show up to your sessions, like you're dragging yourself to work, you feel resentful, you wish you were somewhere else, maybe inside you're praying for time off, you are physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted. Maybe you're injury prone. Maybe every time you go into session, you're fighting chronic repetitive use injuries. Um, this is big right here. Feeling like you don't have anything left in the tank to give, like you're running on empty, like you've just given everything you've got to everybody, you've got nothing left. That's a sign of burnout. And another big one is when you're watching that clock and you're in your sessions wondering why time is going so slow. How is it that you have 20 minutes left and you feel like you've been giving massage therapy for 5 hours already? So these are signs of burnout. You're exhausted, you're not happy, you wish you were somewhere else. So you need to have some self-awareness about the causes of burnout. Why are you burned out? And I believe there are physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual reasons why we can be burned out. And I'm going to go through all of them right now. I'm going to first kind of state what I think are problems within these categories. And then, of course, we'll go through solutions. So let's first start with physical. Working too many hours. This should be so obvious. Are you working too many hours? Are you trying to do 7 sessions a day, 7 days a week? Well, that's not sustainable. You're not going to be doing that every week, every month, every year for several decades. You're working too many hours. Another problem is that maybe your style of body work is too aggressive on your body. Maybe your body is just having a hard time with the style of body work that you're trying to practice. Then, of course, there's aging. I started when I was 21 years old. I'm 39 now. And while I'm still in great health, I'm not 21 anymore. So there's aging, and that's a factor for physical burnout. If you have chronic injuries, repetitive use injuries, that is a problem for physical burnout. And then if you have what I say is a terrible lifestyle, like you just don't have a healthy lifestyle, you're going to physically burn out, much more so than someone who has a very healthy lifestyle. Okay, so let's talk about the solutions. Working too many hours. Well, this is kind of obvious. You can't work that many hours. Try and learn quickly what your healthy pacing is. This is different for everybody. Some people can work a lot more hours than most. They have a lot of endurance and a lot of energy. And some people really just don't have the ability to work that hard. You need to know who you are. For me personally, I was happy with working 5 days a week, 4 sessions a day. And that was my happy amount of work where I could sustain that without burning out and feeling like I was working too many hours. 4 sessions a day, 5 days a week. Then I changed. This is something that you should constantly consider every year. Like, do I want to add hours? Do I want to cut hours? How do you feel? So pay attention to what your happy amount of hours are per week. Then addressing the style of body work. Are you using um, massage techniques that are hard on your hands, or they're hard on your shoulders, or they're hard on your back? Like what techniques are you doing that are causing injuries, that are causing you to physically burn out? You're going to have to adapt and change. If you feel like I'm trying to do the same techniques on all of these clients every day, and you're feeling, tendonitis, arthritis, just strain injuries, especially if you're going to have to take time off to nurse these injuries, you need to change your style of body work. You need to adapt and learn some other techniques. Okay. What are we going to do about physical aging? Hmm. Yeah, good question. Well, actually, I feel like that's sort of lumped into lifestyle. So I don't know anyone yet that's been able to stop aging altogether. I know people that can slow down aging, but there just needs to be sort of an understanding about where you are in your life and what is healthy based on where you're at in your life, and just what feels best in your body, right? That goes to lifestyle. So I do think, and I'll just give an example of this. There are people in their 50s, at 60s, even 70s who have an impeccable lifestyle, super healthy, and they can outwork some people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who do not have a healthy lifestyle. So even though I mentioned aging as a physical sign of burnout, it's not necessarily if you have a really healthy lifestyle. So, healthy living, I believe, is extremely important for a body worker just to take on, the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual demands that a body worker has to go through. And for me, healthy living has been a major foundation for me just to have a successful career and not burn out. And all of the aspects of healthy living: good sleep, good nutrition, exercise, getting body work yourself, stress relief practices, all the self-care practices, all the things, right? All of it. Anything that can help you recover quickly, have more energy, right? Avoid injuries, and just feel your best. Like, think of yourself like a professional athlete. You are. You're using your body to perform, and you need to treat yourself like a professional athlete. These are also ways that you're going to avoid chronic injuries. But if you do have injuries, you need to nurse them and be careful with your body. You need to rehab your injuries. You need to do all the things that your clients should be doing for their injuries. So this is just talking about all the things that lead to like physical burnout. Okay. Now let's move on to emotional burnout, because we're working with people and there's all kinds of things that happen emotionally working with people, like when clients during their sessions talk the whole time and they're unloading their drama. They're just telling you all the things that you probably don't want to know about the personal drama of their life. Like you're a therapist, like a talk therapist or a counselor of some kind. And this can be heavy. I mean, if you got a whole day of people telling you their problems, that is emotionally heavy. You can burn out on that. I'm just going to state the problems first and then we'll go over solutions. So, another problem is if you are emotionally burning out from working with clients who are suffering and or dying. This can be really heavy when you have chronic pain clients, when you have clients with major medical conditions and they're in serious pain, like they're suffering and or they are dying, and you have a heart for these people, you're trying to help them. It can be very heavy on your heart if you're working with these types of clients. It can lead to burnout. Another problem emotionally is when clients are testing your boundaries or they're not treating you with respect. And this can be so frustrating when you have that client that has like 3 or 4 no-shows, or they're always showing up late, or they're just treating you like they're condescending or pretentious when they speak to you, like they're treating you like you're not an expert, or they're maybe micromanaging the session like you don't know what you're doing. These are just like all kind of really emotionally abusive ways that clients can treat us that will lead to emotional burnout if you aren't holding your boundaries and setting the tone for what you expect in terms of behavior. All right. Then, of course, there's creepers. All the creepers are so frustrating. That can be so emotionally burnt. Like, you will burn out if you keep getting one creepy dude after the next, or a creepy chick, any creepy person coming in. I hope you guys know what I mean by that. They're looking for sexual services. They're not taking your work seriously. They have an agenda, and it is emotionally frustrating. Like, you will lose it. You will lose it, right? If this is happening constantly. Next problem, any client you don't vibe with. Now, you know, this one might be more subtle, but if you just have a client, you're like, oh, I feel like they don't really like my work, or I just can't vibe with their personality, you can kind of emotionally burn out on these people too. And then if, on the other hand, it says nothing to do with the client, you can emotionally burn out from your own personal drama in your own life. Because we all have personal lives, and maybe there's someone dying in your family. Maybe you're going through a divorce. Maybe you just got a serious diagnosis with a medical condition. Like, you got personal drama too. We all have difficult things that we're facing and challenges in our own life. And so sometimes we can bring our own personal drama into our work, and that can lead to emotional burnout, just feeling like you don't have the tools or the abilities to deal with yourself and care for your clients. So, okay, let's talk about solutions to these problems. When clients unload their drama, they're talking the whole time. Well, especially if this is burning you out, you need to say something. You can say little things like, maybe before the session, hey, I just want to mention these sessions are for you. And I know that sometimes it's helpful to speak about things going on in your life, but at some point, I believe that it's helpful to just let yourself relax, go into your body, go into your breath, go into, a meditative state, and just enjoy the session without talking. However you want to phrase it, but just kind of letting them know that they don't have to feel like they need to talk the whole time. Or maybe you can say, like, why don't we try something new today? Like, why don't we just take at least half of the session to just let yourself feel you can enjoy the silence of the session, and relax without feeling you need to talk. Again, you're going to have your own way of saying these things, but sometimes I think clients think they want to talk to keep you entertained or just to kind of build a friendship. This is up to your style of body work as well, like especially if you're doing craniosacral or some kind of subtle energy work, there really shouldn't be any talking. If you're doing kind of more manual therapy, or like, aggressive, deep physical work, and maybe it's your personality to talk the whole time, then I would say, if you are going to talk to your client, you want to try to lead the discussion. Lead it towards something that's positive or something that's proactive, or switch it from them just unloading their drama. Don't let them unload their drama the whole time. You have to take a proactive role in either leading this discussion in some kind of direction, or to letting them know that it's time for them to relax. Like, now's the part of the session where we're just going to be quiet and just enjoy the session. So it's up to you, however you want to deal with that. Don't let clients unload their drama on you the whole time, especially if you're burning out on it. Moving on, clients who are suffering with major pain and or dying. Okay, this is case by case. Some therapists can handle this. I believe there's trainings around this, how to help you emotionally deal. But I have had friends who, like, for example, work with cancer patients. And at first, it seemed like it was something so meaningful that they thought, wow, like, how wonderful is it to help cancer patients? But then they realized they came home like sad all the time, especially when people are actually dying or they're just really suffering from their treatments. It can be heavy in it. And if you really just don't feel like that's working for you, there's nothing wrong with changing your client demographic, especially if you're burning out. So just paying attention, like if this is a cause of burnout for you, you need to address it. And maybe you need to change the demographic to a healthier clientele. Or maybe go to some kind of training to help you deal with these feelings better, right? Moving on. When clients are testing your boundaries or they aren't treating you with respect, you have to communicate boundaries. You just have to. You have to stand up for yourself. You will burn out. If you don't stand up for yourself and set the tone and tell people how they need to treat you, they're going to walk all over you and you will burn out. You will hate working. You will hate coming to work if you just let people walk all over you. So you have to stand up. You have to enforce your policies. If someone's disrespecting you, you have to, in a polite and kind way. I'm not saying we should ever be mean to anybody, but you have to come up with ways to stand up for yourself, set your boundaries, demand respect from people in a kind way, period. That's your solution. Next, creepers. Okay, so this could really be a whole course on its own. Honestly, you kind of have to get those signs. You have to see the red flags early in the communication before they even book. I mean, really, this should be a whole other course. But if you can start to see the red flags be, before they even come into your office, you can avoid the frustration of dealing with these creepers. But even if you get these signs early in the session, you have to this is hard. Let me just address this for a second. When we go into session, we are so trained to be in a healing mode. We're open-hearted, we're compassionate, we want to help people. We're in the space of like love and like healing, right? So sometimes, especially if you're newer at this, you can have someone being creepy on the table and you're almost in denial that it's happening. Like, especially if the signs are subtle and it's not obvious, you can kind of give people the benefit of the doubt because you're in a healing mode right now and you're focused on your intentions of helping this person. But it's better if you really just face reality and see that there are these signs, these red flags, and then you just have to end the session, right? And I do feel like same thing. The more you stand up for yourself, the more you address this in a professional way, you're going to avoid scenarios altogether. Okay. And yeah, you will burn. I actually did burn out. I had, I think, 3 or 4 creepers in a row one week and I quit. I literally just quit. I burned out. I did something else. I did eventually come back to massage and I learned how to avoid these situations or at least to stand up for myself. All right, moving on. Any client you don't vibe with. All right. So I do think we should try and be generally open to most personalities, most types of, people showing up on our table. But if you really just feel like there's someone who's maybe they're not even really getting much out of their sessions, like it just feels like they're not getting a lot out of it, and you feel frustrated and you're kind of dreading seeing them on your schedule, just refer them out. It's all right. If it just it doesn't click, it doesn't, you guys don't connect, you can refer them out. It's all right. Especially if it's causing you to burn out. And then finally, your own personal drama from your life. This one is tough. This one is tough because I don't know. For me, I would always just have the feeling like whatever I'm dealing with personally, I'm just going to leave it outside of my office. As soon as I walk into my office, or if you're doing mobile, as soon as you walk into someone's home, your personal drama is outside, and your intention and your focus is to help this person. To me, it has to be sort of like a spiritual path. Right now, I'm going to be of service. I'm going to leave my shit out the door. I can always deal with my own shit as soon as I leave. But right now, this is like a meditation. I'm just going to focus on helping this person. And if you really need some time off to deal with your personal life drama, then take the time off if you really need it. If you need counseling, whatever, you need to take care of your emotional life too, especially if it's causing you to burn out. Okay, let's move on to the mental problems for burnout. Boredom, just being bored and like being in a routine that you feel like you're just stuck in, like you're just doing the same routine over and over again. Maybe you're working with the same people over and over again, the same style of body work. You're just bored. This is like a mental problem and it can lead to burnout, especially if you are a creative type or even an intellectual type. You need to be mentally stimulated and you need like variety, you know? You got to mix it up. So that's a problem if you're just in a routine, you're in a rut and you're bored. Another problem is if you feel overwhelmed as a business owner, wearing all the hats and doing all the things. This can be very mentally overwhelming and you can burn out. Like, I just have so many things to do. I'm not getting to all the things. What about bookkeeping? What about the laundry? What about marketing? What about my website changes? What about all the things? This can create mental burnout. Also, if you're not running efficiently, if your business structure is just haphazard, and it's not running like a well-oiled machine, this can create kind of mental stress. Like there's just problems. There's fires that you have to put out all the time. There's unnecessary wasting of energy because you have to mentally deal with these things that aren't efficient as part of your business structure. Another problem is worrying about money and staying busy, looking at your books and they are empty. And that is mentally stressful when you're like, I don't know how I'm going to pay these bills. It's stressful. It's mentally stressful when you're worried about money and having to fill your books. And another mental problem is similar to boredom, just not feeling challenged anymore. Like you need a bigger challenge. Like maybe you've just been doing a standard Swedish massage for relaxation, but you are the type of person and you have the type of personality that you need a challenge. Like once you feel like you've mastered something, now you're bored and you need a bigger challenge. Maybe you want to work with chronic pain patients. Maybe you want to work with athletes. Maybe you want to learn an entirely different modality and master a whole new modality. So if you are the type of person that needs a challenge, then you need to give yourself those challenges so you can avoid mental burnout. All right, let's talk about the solutions. All right, I kind of mentioned some of the solutions already, but if you're bored, if you don't feel challenged, you need variety. You need to take some new trainings. You need to maybe work with some new people. Maybe you need a new location, or maybe whatever. You just need to change something to make you feel stimulated again and creative and challenged. Okay. If you're overwhelmed as a business owner wearing all the hats, you need to delegate. You need to hire some people to help you. Hire someone to do the laundry. Hire someone to do the bookkeeping, right? Hire someone to do maybe marketing. Whatever you feel like super overwhelmed with, that is like the biggest burden on your shoulders. And especially if you're a full-time, busy, successful practice owner, it's worth it. It's worth it to delegate some of these tasks so you can avoid mental burnout, right? Or just see where you can change your business structure. So when you're not running efficiently, like for example, if you don't have online booking and now you have to constantly call people back and try and find a time, what time works for you? That time doesn't work. Does this time work? That doesn't work. It's not efficient and it's a waste of your energy, and it leads to mental burnout. So, whatever you can do to tie up loose ends to make your business structure more efficient, you need to do that so that you just feel like, oh, I have like space and time and energy that's not being wasted. That will help you avoid burnout. Now, worrying about money and staying busy. Okay, some of this is mindset. Some of this is attitude, by the way. I'll address that later, but staying busy. So, learning marketing skills, learning sales skills, and building up your money mindset, faith skills will help you avoid the mental burnout of worrying about money and staying busy. Like, there are skills you need to learn so that you don't have to constantly feel like you're freaking out. Okay. And, a mentor can really help you with that, a business mentor. So those are the mental problems for burnout. Let's move on to spiritual burnout. This is when you don't feel like you're in your purpose or you are not fulfilled on a soul level. I find this to be rare considering that massage and bodywork is such a meaningful, fulfilling career on a spiritual level. For me, it's always been a path of healing to help serve others and help them feel better. Just like putting your hands on someone and helping them feel better in and of itself is meaningful and spiritual. That's my opinion. Occasionally, though, people don't feel like massage and body work is what they should be doing. They feel like they should be doing something else, or they feel like they have another calling in another field to do some other kind of work. And so if you feel like maybe you're not physically burned out, maybe you're not emotionally or mentally burned out, or you're just sort of spiritually lacking, like you don't you're not fulfilled anymore, you're not uplifted, you're not passionate anymore about this work, then maybe you need to move on. Maybe you need to move on to another field that will feel like it's your calling or be more soul fulfilling, right? This takes some deep contemplation. You have to really pay attention and ask yourself these questions, and that one might not be as obvious to you as some of the others. But you might have some counseling or coaching around this as well, like, well, or journaling. What would you? What would make you feel more fulfilled? Like, when do you feel like you're in your purpose? So these are, in my opinion, a lot of the reasons that lead to burnout for massage therapists. And you need to address these constantly throughout your entire career. And you need to have like a 100% commitment to dealing with these problems, finding solutions to these problems if you're going to stay in this field and have a healthy, happy, successful career. So when you make these fine-tuned changes to avoid burnout, you will find that you're happier, you have more energy, you're excited to show up to your sessions, you're not watching the clock, right? Actually, it's the opposite. It's like, how did the session's over already? Like, I feel like I could just stay here for another hour and work with this person. That's what you want to feel, like refreshed, excited every day to go into session. And that kind of attitude and that kind of energy is what is going to lead to success. So addressing these things leads to success as well, because clients can tell when their massage therapist is burned out. People know. I have heard this from clients telling me about their massage therapist just not having their heart in it anymore, like going through the motions. And it's sad. It's sad when you, as a client, feel that from your therapist. It's not great. And usually those clients will seek out somebody else who is excited and passionate about their work. So, feel free to go through this workshop occasionally if you need to kind of maybe take an inventory. Am I physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually burning out? What are the things that I can change so that I can continue to be happy? All right, you guys, I hope this helps. And if you need any specific guidance from me, I'm always available for private mentoring. Take care.